In the Man Cave Classroom, analyzing a document today where it doesn't seem like there's a lot, but we're sitting here looking at it and there is a lot to unpack.
And I know our audience is disappointed because it's not like a picture.
Yeah,
they love that. They do.
There's going to be plenty of imagery to go along with just certain things that we start to see here. So we should start off with the sourcing and then the historical context.
So we've got Chief Washakie of the Shoshone. He is giving a speech to a governor of Wyoming named John Hoyt. We got to look at the year.
It's 1878.
Yep. What's happening in 1878?
Whew. Well, we are definitely moving out west.
Yeah.
So we have 1862, the Homestead Act. All right.
1869, completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. So that's making transportation faster, easier, cheaper. We got a lot more Americans who are like, hey, maybe I should take this journey out west, considering if I do fail, I could always come back home.
And then, of course, once that winds up taking place with the westward expansion and the trains, Buffalo population is going down significantly.
Yep.
Way of life for Native Americans out west is changing significantly. Many of them being put onto reservations, failed treaties for them, like, for example, the Fort Laramie Treaty. We also have a lot of conflict taking place between the Native Americans and settlers. The United States Army is getting more active in going out there to protect them.
The United States government is, for all intents and purposes, kidnapping Native American children, bringing them to reform schools like the Carlisle Indian Industrial School.
Right.
We got a lot of things.
We have a lot going, and then of course, Reconstruction is also just taking place as
Yeah.
well. So there's a lot
Yes.
going on here. So we said that there's a lot here, and the imagery that is missing from here are probably going to come up when there's certain phrases come up. So let's take a look at this first paragraph, and then we'll take a look at it. So in this speech, this is what he had to say to the governor. So the white man, who possesses this whole vast country from sea to sea, who roams over it at pleasure and lives where he likes, cannot know the cramp we feel in this little spot, with the underlying remembrance of the fact, which you know as well as we, that every foot of what you proudly call America, not very long ago, belonged to the red man. The Great Spirit gave it to us. There is room enough for all his many tribes, and all were happy in their freedom. But the white man had, in ways we know not of, learned some things we had not learned. Among them, how to make superior tools and terrible weapons, better for war than bows and arrows, and there seemed no end to the hordes or the huge numbers of men that followed them from other lands beyond the sea. All right, that's a lot. Let's see, from sea to sea, I'm seeing the word manifest destiny.
Yes.
And the American progress painting, because we are definitely expanding.
Ironically, he brings up the Native American Great Spirit.
Yes.
And since you tie that into Manifest Destiny, we looked at America's belief that it was our God-given
right. When you're talking about spiritual,
spread westward.
Yep.
And what are we doing? We're spreading our wings.
Yep.
We came here 1607, Jamestown Colony,
right.
1620, Plymouth. We occupied the East Coast of the United States, and all of a sudden we're like, yeah, we need more land. Get all the way into like the Proclamation line of 1763, but we've been pushing westward essentially since we got here.
Yeah.
Who's been here first?
They were the Native
Americans.
And he speaks of them, whereas we're making reference to the red man.
And he's talking about why the white man, as he refers
yes.
to the Europeans as the Americans, why they won. They had the
superior weapons,
fortunateness. I don't know if that's a word.
Right.
To be in Europe where there were resources, where they could create these weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
The guns that we were using.
Anything else we're seeing here? Because even when you're looking at the whole, how we look at land, how the Europeans or the white man, as they're referring to, how they look at land and how the Native Americans look at land, completely different.
Completely different.
Native Americans felt that the land belonged to everybody. All right, there was no idea of ownership, that you have something that belonged, like this land is yours specifically.
And the many tribes that he references.
Yep.
You want to get into the Iroquois, the Algonquin, the Huron, go into all those different tribes. Now, yeah, there were times when they went to war with one another, but they lived in harmonious relationships with each other and with the land. Right. Where we kind of come on and we're like, it's ours, and we are going to take everything from that land that we can, whether it's gold, whether it's the natural resources of the land, oil, lumber, whatever it might be, and we're going to rape the land of its resources.
And we're going to put the Native Americans also on land
Mhm.
that we decide that they get to go on, and then referred to as reservations.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at, and before we even finish this document, if you're looking at this, the chief, is he in favor of westward expansion?
No.
Without a doubt.
He is an extreme negative bias
Yeah,
against
absolutely.
the white man.
Absolutely.
Even talking about like we're stuck in this little cramped spot. This huge continent was once ours, and now you're putting us onto lands that wasn't our cultural lands.
Right.
Where we took like the Cherokee, from Georgia, and we're like, hey, you go live in Oklahoma now. Lands that they were completely not accustomed to.
And they're putting them on these reservations. Of course, they're trying to get them to change their way of life.
Yeah.
You're no longer roaming around on the plains hunting buffalo. You're going to be on reservations, right? And we want you to stay put and be farmers.
Yep.
Something they were not familiar with, right, when it came to farming.
Correct.
All right. Let's see what else he has to say. I mean, there's a lot we said that could be mentioned in there. And so, at last, our fathers were steadily driven out or killed, and we, their sons, but sorry remnants of tribes once mighty, are concerned in little spots of the earth all hours of right, cornered like guilty prisoners, and watched by men with guns who were more than anxious to kill us off.
It's almost like we predicted the next
Yes,
line
we did.
without even having to read it yet.
Yep, we're feeling like prisoners on this land itself.
Being prisoners in your own home.
Yep, pretty much. Anything else we're missing with this? I mean,
No.
Again, a lot to unpack.
Chief Washakie of the Shoshone, not a big fan.
Definitely not a big
of
fan.
America's manifest destiny.
No, it's benefiting the United States. Why? These territories are going to become states because we now have a population there, but he's also giving you indications of the buildup of these towns and cities. So you have, for example, your boom towns, your cow towns, where you're starting to see more of an American population in those areas. And then, of course, who did that land ultimately belong to? The Native Americans.
I would love to know what John Hoyt's response was.
That would be really, really interesting.
He's probably just sitting there being like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what you think.
Do we need to bounce off or think more about author and purpose or audience?
No,
here?
I think we
got
hit-
this.
we hit
That's
everything.
the author, there's your purpose, right?
The perspective and point of view of Washakie of the Shoshone.
At this point, he's telling them, now this is impacting 2 generations of Native Americans of all their actions. All right, it's pretty good, powerful. All right, great. Thank you for watching.